Listen, folks, if you knew how many links I've sent Coach to and Phil to, you'd understand why we're 10 minutes late. We are here finally with Coach Luke Pruitt of the Pisgah Eagles, Phil Harris from WQSB, and me, the link guy. So, Phil, lucky to have Coach Pruitt in. Sorry about that, but we got everybody in. Lucky to have Coach Pruitt join us right before the big playoff season.
Yeah, it's great to have him on because I told him we'd like to get him on about playoff time. Of course, I sent him a message yesterday and asked him if he could come on last minute, and he said he could. And, of course, I know it's busy this time of year, Coach, but thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. I enjoy getting to come on with y'all.
Even when we sent you like 17 links, Coach?
Right, I was worried that y'all didn't want to talk to me tonight. I was like, well.
Hey, just consider your quarterback threw to the wrong receiver one time. That's all it is.
I got you.
Phil, I'll jump in. I have, Coach, one question I wanted to bring up, and I know there's a lot Phil will ask you, but, Coach, you won your 50th game this week and clinched the region. It doesn't seem possible that you got to 50 this fast. It has really been a meteoric rise for this program and yourself to get to the point you are now.
Well, you know, these guys, I'm fortunate to have a really good bunch of players that I've coached and guys that I get to work with, my assistant coaches that been there since day one. And, you know, these guys that are our seniors now and the bunch beforehand, they were freshmen the year that we won it. And they've kind of been along. I kind of grew up with them in this. You know, we just went to work from day one, and here we are. You know, we've won 50 in the 7 years we've been here, and hopefully we've got 6 more in the bag. So, you know, it's just we went to work every day, and, you know, we didn't really talk about wins and losses, you know, early on or even now. But I got to that point, and we won the region. That was one of our goals this year. So it just all went together.
Excellent. Phil?
Well, Coach, I remember the first time, you know, we met was, I think back, it may have been your first year when y'all upset Plainview, and you had a pretty good bit of seniors on that team, but you didn't know where this program was going. You was afraid you was going to have a couple of lulls. At that time, you know, I'm sure you had no, you know, a crystal ball or anything like that to know how quick this program has risen.
Well, you know, that first year, I think we had close to, I think it was 12 seniors. We were able to, you know, win that game and get in the playoffs. And, you know, we were trying to still recruit the halls and get some guys out. And we were able to do that. COVID affected us one year. We had some guys choose not to play that went home during that time period. But the class that graduated last year and this senior class and juniors, they were winning in Pee Wee. Well, Pisgah had won in Pee Wee, and their kids had left and went to other programs at different times throughout the time. You know, and that was one of the things when I came back, I was trying to get Pisgah kids back to Pisgah if they had a connection. And we were able to do that, and we've been able to, you know, those guys have came back, and, you know, we had them here, and we were able to start getting some from the feeder schools. You know, when I first got here, I think we had one kid from Dutton playing for us. And we had the first year, I think we had maybe 2 or 3 guys from Flat Rock, and they graduated out. And then we were to kind of zero in both of it. And then we started able to recruit our feeders. And, you know, we've always had, you know, our Rosalie kids with our Pisgah kids, and we've also got a handful of Henniger, you know, and just trying to get them to get on board with us. And we were trying to sell the vision and sell the, you know, the program, what we were trying to do. And people bought in, they took a chance on us, and, you know, and we're fortunate to be where we are right now.
Well, Coach, you know, of course, the first of the year, and of course, you know, these last 2 years, 22 and 23, you got to the semifinals, and, you know, and that's great accomplishments. Many schools don't ever do that. Of course, coming into this year, and I'm sure the players heard about it, yeah, y'all had great seasons, but you can't beat 5. Well, first game of the year, you got that monkey off your back. Do you feel like that took this team to another level?
Absolutely. That you're absolutely right. Last year, the first time we played them, the first 2 years, we were just trying to kind of learn, a little bit. We were still probably shouldn't have been there, but our kids didn't know any different. Last year we come up short. We score 40-something points and get beat, and then Mason was injured, and we had 3 days to change our offense or whatever to fit Luke. And he did a great job in that. Our kids laid it on the line in the semifinals. That gave us confidence, even though we got beat. And we were fortunate this year to be able to win the first game. But absolutely, it gave us confidence in that, because what coach has done at 5 is second to none. And those kids, there's a mutual respect between us and them. It's a physical game every time you go against them, and I think we've matched it the last couple of years, the physicality, and those guys respect us as well. And absolutely, it gave our guys some confidence, because they've been the standard of 2A football. They moved up, but they've been the standard in the last 10 years. And we were able to get the win this year.
Well, of course, Coach, Randy spoke on this, getting your 50th win, monumental, of course, clinching the region title outright. That was big. Your wife, Laura, had a big thing into the 50th win. Of course, you got the football, and, she sent out messages wanting, people to send out cards. That's one thing that wives do, I think, that's appreciative, and my wife is this way too. We most of the time focus on the big picture. They kind of look at the little things and how important they are, how important a birthday is, how important a graduation is. They take the time to make little things special, and you have to appreciate that.
Absolutely. It shocked me. I actually didn't even know that it was my 50th. I had no clue, and I was being interviewed after the game on the from the radio stations and the newspaper, and I could hear one of our teachers, Miss Metz, reading something, and they were asking me questions, and I was trying to kind of listen, and didn't really know, and our players kind of hung around, and after it's over, after I was able to listen to some of the things she said, it kind of was overwhelming. My guys kind of crowded around me and was cheering or whatever. We went down and had a picture, and Laura gave me the football. Then we went inside, and I had all those cards, and I stayed up to probably 2 or 3 and read them all. And there was some more I got on Saturday, but I got emotional. I'm an emotional guy, but I sat there and cried in our bed. Me and Laura were talking about it. Just the community tell me thank you, and I can't ever show our community how much I appreciate them. They gave it. Coach Duncan gave me a chance. Him and Miss Whitney Smith was assistant principal then, and they gave me a chance to a guy that never had any experience whatsoever, and we were not great early on. Our kids were trying to learn a new coach that had about 4 coaches in about 3 or 4 years. And, they gave me the opportunity to try to get it right. And these people have bought in, and we're seeing the success now. But it was overwhelming that, that the community would do that, and I always tell Laura she's extra. She's thoughtful. She's always been that way. I'm horrible at that. That's her love language, and I can't write her a note or do any of those things because I forget. I don't know. That's not an excuse. I try to do better, but it was something that I'll always remember. And I'm thankful to have that memory, and and the words. Phil, you wrote me one. Just reading the notes from all the people that sent it. One of them was our quarterback club president, the first one that we had. and him and his wife wrote one, and just talking about then they had a boy playing to now, some of those early on that was what there with us when it wasn't right, just trying to get it to where we have now. And there's tons of people that I couldn't sit here and name them all that got us to this point.
Coach, Phil just got logged off. He'll be back in a second. But I wanted to ask you a question. It was a good time for me to get in. I called your dad's 300th victory up at Sequatchie County when he had Marion County beat Sequatchie County. And I remember after the game, just a sense of relief almost that he felt. Does this give you perspective to your dad's career in a way that he's won that many games?
It does. Just looking, getting to, of course he's the reason I'm in the profession that I'm in, but he's won 315, 16, somewhere in there. To think that my math's not real good, but it took me 7 years to get to where we are. How many more years I'd have to do it to be able to get to that point, and that was something, one of my high school basketball coach said if he would have never left here, he'd have won the state championship the next year. And if he wouldn't have took a job my senior year, that he'd have won one my senior year. But anyways, it is what it is. Dad's been doing it a long time, and it's he's had a lot of success. He's in the top 10, I believe, and I know he isn't active, but anybody can win that many games. That's something, that's impressive. And to know that, for him to have that resume and all the region championships and all those things, I was fortunate to get to work with him and play for him. Sometimes that doesn't always go well, but I was able to do that, and I think hopefully I'm gonna get to be able to coach my boys. So that's something that was going to be special as well.
Phil, I was talking to Coach Pruitt. I had called his dad's 300th victory, and I think in a way, Coach Pruitt, the senior, was just glad to have it over with. And I was asking Coach Pruitt if that was kind of perspective for him on his career, him at 50, his dad at 315.
Yeah, it is a monumental moment. Of course, Coach Dale Pruitt will kind of deflect that kind of thing. I asked him one time what keeps him in the realm of coaching, and he said his wife and belt bucks. He told me one time. So, he's always got a witty answer. But he still loves the kids, or he still would not be doing that. He and Jeremy both. I think they really enjoy coaching young people, and so they stay in this too. But Coach, I wanted to ask you. We talked about this on Scoreboard when you called, and when we was talking about last Friday's win. This is a unique football team in that we had Luke Gilbert on, and we talked about this, about, they're kind of a really loose bunch. They like to play a lot. They'll kid a lot. They'll joke a lot. But now when it comes Friday night and it's time to get down to business, they go to work. I mean, there's no lollygagging. They hold each other accountable. And it's just a unique team that sometimes will tend to play just a little bit.
That's the thing that, we're veteran bunch. We have a lot of juniors and seniors that's been in the fire. Midway through the year, there was some play going on, but, we just finished today and they're locked in. They're calling stuff out, what they see. It's fun bunch to coach. Sometimes they can get out of hand. But here's the thing, what they don't understand. Those older guys understand, they know what the game plan is, and they kind of get out of hand. Well, those younger guys that don't have a clue think they need to get in with the foolishness. And that's where I get mad. I'm like, guys, I know y'all know it, but those other ones don't know it. So y'all need to let them get it. And, and that's something that, we're fortunate enough, those guys, they have a blast, and I have a blast coaching them as well. And my staff, we get along great with each other, and, it's a fun time to be out here. And, the fun's in the winning, it is. And these guys have been successful, and they know what's at stake. And, the rest of the way, the more we win, the next game's even bigger, and that's the thing I told you Friday night. If I walked into a locker room and these guys were tight, I knew we'd be in trouble, and that's something that, that's not how I grew up playing. That's not, the way I got ready to play and the way they get ready to play is totally different. I try to go hide, get away from them, because who knows? Last year, Mason come through. We're getting ready to play North Jackson. He's got an Indian headdress on. We walked through the field house. I have no idea where he got an Indian headdress at. I have no idea. So that's just kind of how they are. They're kidding all the time with different stuff, just messing around, and it's all in fun. So that makes it better. And they'll kid with us. One of our guys, 22, Jeffrey, unfortunately he had to have surgery today. It went well, but he's all the time getting on Coach Gilbert about something. He'll tell him that's a bag push, or he'll tell me, you got to, that's their punishment. If we do something wrong or whatever, he'll say that's a bag push. But they're critical of us too. And if they can't joke around with us, then then they can't relax. And they're relaxed out there. They know where the lines cross. They know when it's time to get serious, and they've done a good job of that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and it's paid dividends. But Coach, you're kind of in a unique position. It's been a great year. You've won the region championship. Well, now, really the players are kind of locked in that it's a getting playoff time, because they're used to being in the playoffs, so they know what it means this time of year. But you've got one more regular season game against a very formidable opponent. This is the kind of game you kind of worry about how your intensity is going to be, because you want to win this game, definitely, but you also kind of worry about the injury factor and those type of things, because, next week it's actually for real, but you want to keep that same intensity level.
Right. I believe I was talking to Jason Bowen today. Sylvania is the second most played game behind North Sand Mountain that Pisgah has played in the history. So, it's a rivalry game. And these guys, they're going to work with them. They're kin to them. They go to church with them, the whole 9 yards. The intensity will be there, and we hope that nobody gets banged up. We can't play the game worried about someone getting banged up for that. And that's something that, we just have to go prepare. And you're right. Next week it's playoff, it's win or go home. But this week there's a reason we wanted them back on the schedule, because they're going to make, win or lose, they're going to make us better going into the playoffs. And, I think all of our non-region games have done that this year. I feel like we've had a pretty tough slate going forward. And, Friday night we're going to have to play well to win, because Sylvania's got a good ball team.
Well, Coach, is it locked into who you'll play in the first round?
Yes, we will play Aliceville. Aliceville
Okay.
is the 4 seed. Now, I'm pretty sure their side finished this past week, but our side is not. TA finished 1 for them. Vincent finished 2. Sologent finished 3, and Aliceville finished 4th. And on our side, we're 1, Pleasant Valley's 2, and there's a 3-way tie between North Sand, Sand Rock, and Cedar Bluff. And it's going to come down to defeated opponents' wins, or however that works. I think it's going to break the 3-way tie, and then it'll go to head-to-head after that.
Yeah, of course, that 2 of them gets in, 1 of them will have to stay home,
right?
Of course, of that bunch. But, yeah, it's been a great year. You pretty well dominated the region. This team's average, about 45 points per game. So offensively, you've been very fluid. Of course, things kind of are kind of built around the quarterback position. Really how he goes is how this team goes. But you can't take away from the defensive side of the ball, because this team is very good defensively.
Definitely Luke does a really good job for us taking care of the ball. And he's a coach's son, so he can get some extra coaching at home. But it's amazing, just listening to him. Like today, Monday's kind of a learning day. You're putting in the game plan or whatever, and him and his dad are arguing a little bit. Not arguing, but he's wanting to tell him what he wants to do, and trying to win Adam over to where he can do it the way he wants to, like who we read or whatever like that. But it's pretty impressive that he knows enough about the offense to be able to make those suggestions. But defensively, we had a lot of guys coming back, and we tried to improve last year, and we did. We tackled better. We created a lot of turnovers, and that was the emphasis going forward this year, is to work on our tackling and work on our create more turnovers. And we've created more the last couple of weeks, and we've given the offense some short fields. We've scored, I think, 3 defensive touchdowns. I think we've had 5 or 6 total, and a couple of them has been called back. We've been able to score on some special teams, but that's the thing too. Our guys know that we're going to try to give them an edge, and they come in here ready to go, whether we bring them in Monday morning or Monday afternoon. They're trying to figure out what tails the other team has, and we're trying to give them that opportunity. And I got guys on defense who are like, "Hey, coach, can we do it this way?" Or, "Hey, coach," and sometimes we give them some leeway. And my thing is, just like Luke and just like the guys on defense, they have ownership. They've earned the trust of us, and they've got ownership in what they do, and we give them some leeway. Sometimes they come over there and they're like, "Hey, coach, they're doing this. Can we do this?" I'm like, "Yes." Sometimes I have to tell them why we can't, but a lot of times we're able to do what they ask. And I do, because they've been out there, and that's something. We got a lot of guys, on the defense. Legion and Luke have been in the secondary now for 4 years. Caleb Jenkins started last year at corner, moved to safety. And he's done a really good job at safety. Jackson Smalley's came in. He's been a 1B on the offensive side. He's rotated the last couple of years on the defense. He's done a really good job at corner. I think he's got 2 or 3 interceptions. I think we've got Legion and Luke and Jack all have 3 interceptions. We lost Jet at outside linebacker. He's started since he was a freshman for us there. But Cape Duncan had over 100 tackles last season. That Mike, he still plays. We move him around to put him in the best spots. He's got close to 70 right now, and these guys have only got to play, really a half in some games. Levi Horton is a kid. He's a senior. He started for us now for 3 years at linebacker. And he allows us to play multiple stuff without subbing. And then with Jet's injury, we've had kind of 2 guys come in. One of them being Jagger Gilbert, coach's youngest boy. He's a sophomore. He's done a good job. He's got close to 60 since he's kind of been plugged in for us. He's kind of the jack now. Also, Ross Smith is playing outside linebacker. He's a safety outside linebacker. He's a freshman that's came on and helped us. And up front defensively, J.J. Williams in the middle, I think he's got like 13 tackles for loss. He had like 9 for A-Night, and like 4 of those were for loss. He's been a starter since the 8th grade. Isaac Griggs is another guy. He's a space seeder in there. He takes on the double teams for us. Christian Raines is a guy that plays defensive end. Wes Arnold does. Wes was injured and he came back, but Eric Williams came in and played on the defensive line for us, and we've provided depth, and we've got other guys that played as well. But those are kind of the core of the defense.
Yeah, well, Coach, I want to ask you one more question. I'll let Randy ask a couple. Now, it's playoff time. When it gets into the playoff time, a lot of times, maybe round 1, you kind of sort of know what you're going to get. But most of the time, it's mystery opponent. And when it gets playoff time, sometimes offenses can take a night off. If you're going to win a state championship, really the defensive side of the ball is so important in the playoffs, because defense don't take a night off. Most of the time it's effort. And, I think a lot of times that's what's going to lead you to a title.
that's the thing. You got to be able to run the football and stop the run, and be physical. And you're right. I think this is the first time, the last couple of years we had to win in a shootout. At least that's what coaches felt like. We got to score 40 points to win. And that's not the case this year, or at least I hope it ain't the case. We've been able. I think our scoring average is around 11 or 12 points, and the starters gave up 22 versus 5. They gave up 14 versus Plainview. That's 36. I think we gave up 7 versus Sandrock. I think that's 43 points that the starters has given up this year, and that's it through 9 ball games. The rest of the time it's the younger ones. But yes, this is probably the best defense that we put out there so far. The guys last year they'll take offense to it, but we're pretty fast. We're not huge. But we have to use that to our advantage. And these guys do a really good job of trying to do the game plan and take the coaching that they have. And they're a fun bunch to coach.
Yeah, and Adam and I talked about this when we had him on earlier, that when you get in a situation this year, if you're at midfield, it's a 3rd and 8, you're up, and you may want to punt them deep and flip the field. He might be a little more conservative with his call rather than I've got to get that 3rd and 8 or we're in trouble. He can be a little more conservative with that call, knowing he can count on his defense.
Right. And that's something, there've been a lot of times, I never forget the night a few years ago that we got beat by Sandrock because they had the ball last, and that's a bad feeling that, it always helps when you can punt it and play defense and hope to give the offense a better field position they had beforehand, and that's something that we talk going into it. And, I try to let him know as soon as we can, hey, coach, treat this as 4 downs. Hey, treat this as, we're going for it here. If we don't like it, we can always, punt it and play defense. So, that's something that affects your play calls. People in the stands may not realize that, but that's kind of the game within the game, the hidden yardage that people forget sometimes that, hey, why are you punting it here? Well, if we punt it and hold them, we got a chance to block a punt or get the ball in better position, and that you have to take all that into consideration when you're calling it on both sides of it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randy. You want to ask a couple things?
Yeah, Coach, I downloaded a picture, and to me, it says a lot about your community and your football team. And I think this was from 2 years ago. You had put it's your favorite picture of the year. I don't know if you can see this, but
I can.
It's every program it looks like that wears the Pisgah on it.
Yes,
and that's really what your program is.
That is the picture we take every year. Started at the first year I was here. That is the C team, the 5-year-olds all the way through the varsity guys, football and cheerleaders. And, and all of them, we talk about the P and what it means to wear the P. And, you're not bigger than Pisgah. There's the communities all the different communities that represent it. And everybody in that picture represents the P. And that's something like when I'm gone, the Pisgah's still going to be here, and when these guys graduate, it's still going to be here, but we want them to come back. And, I just think that it helps the older guys see the influence they have on the younger guys, and let the little ones see who's older than them. I can remember my role models growing up was probably Jeremy's bunch. I remember those guys, but I can name you about every player in the 90s before I played, and even when I played, all the way up, all the way back to 89. That's about as far as I was 6. I can tell you what number they were. I had cats named after the quarterback. I had, and a dog named after the running back. That's just, to me, that picture, we take it every year, just represents who we are, from the little ones all the way through the high school kids. And I share it. If we sweep that week, I think we were able to do it 4 times this year, that we won ever Pee Wee game, our junior high game, and on Friday nights, and I reshare that picture and you say, hey, they beat so and so, and kind of tell them, and it's unique that we're able to do that from top to bottom, and and that's the program. It's not just one group here, one group there. It's from top to bottom, and I'm fortunate enough to my boys are in our Pee Wee program, and I'm fortunate enough to get out there and help them. And this year all three of our teams made it. Our junior high team went 7-1. Our ninth graders right now went 27-1, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade years. Our varsity never lost a game to a county school, 7 through 12 in football. So I think we played. Our A team right now is in the Super Bowl. Our C team was beat in the first round. The B team was beat Saturday in the second round. Our A team plays in the Super Bowl this coming Saturday. So we hope that we're going to be here for a long time. This is not just one group. We hope that we can continue to do what we've been able to do the last couple of years, and can continue to have that success.
They may be a couple of coaches in Tennessee that seen that picture, and I've gave them the idea to steal it. So,
well, I hope somebody does. That's a compliment if somebody steals the picture, but we do it at the very, very end. And like I said, that's who we are. We all make up Pisgah football, from the littles all the way through the bigs.
Yeah. Coach, speaking of mentoring, JJ is such a part of this team and such a leader. He had a great example for the last few years in front of him and JD. Was those two a mentor to some of the younger guys? I know JJ's still there, but it just seems like you had a strong mentor group there in those two.
We're fortunate to the guys that we've had. These guys have played a long time. JD started as a freshman for us on the offensive line, started for 3 years. And our current center, Wes Arnold, his first start as a freshman was versus Fife because we had some injuries. Oh, we moved JD back to center, but he played left tackle last year. And normally I mentioned earlier, our quarterbacks has final say. Well, last year JD had final say on the protection. Like, our quarterback would set his, to his hots and all that stuff. And if JD didn't like it, JD changed it. And JD, that's the only lineman I've ever had that had that much, because he was an intelligent kid, and he was a Bryant Jordan winner and our finalist, and he's had the opportunity to go walk on to the University of Alabama, and he got the dress Saturday. And JJ started since the 8th grade, and JJ kind of has that kind of same deal up front. But the thing about it is, our guys up front, Alex is the young one. I say he's young. He's a junior, but he's a first-year starter. He was the 6th guy last year. Chad started for 2 years. Wes has started for 2 years. Talon started for 2 years. And then you got JJ. So we've got experience across. But JJ has done a good job for us, helping the younger guys come on. And that's something that you got to have a successful program. Is he's got to get his reps, and he's got to stand over there and coach up the younger guys with it, and that's the thing. If we were just playing for 1 year or one season, you wouldn't invest that time. But we're fortunate because you had older guys pour into them, and they've done a good job taking the ownership that they need to for this team.
Coach Phil, I'll come to you after this. You talked about some of the starters only play a half a game. Is some of the secret to this is getting the 8th graders and the 9th graders and getting those guys plenty of reps early in their career?
Absolutely. I think the game, from my experience playing, the game slows down. The earlier you get into a high school game, the speed of the game's faster. And your age group, when you get with your age group, it slows down. And we've been fortunate last year, I think, in the 14 games that we played, I think 9 of them our young guys played, and this year I think they've been able to play in 5 already. But the speed of the game slows it down for them. You always worry about when putting the young ones in, possibly them getting hurt. But, our kids do a good job in the weight room, and, our freshmen are physically able to hop in there and play. But, that's definitely the case, the more. So we've got some backups that's got more tackles than some of our starters because they play more minutes. One of our running backs is a freshman. He has close to 400 yards rushing. The other one has nearly 300 yards rushing, and both of them are freshmen. So now Legion's over 1,000, but still, one of them's got 40 carries, one of them's got like 30 carries in their freshman. You get 70 varsity carries between two kids. One, that's less licks on Legion. Two, these guys are getting experience that a Tuesday night can't emulate. And that's something that the last couple of years that we've been able to do, and I think it pays dividend to the next season.
Absolutely. Phil, go ahead, buddy.
Well, I want to ask you something, Coach. Everybody sees what happens on Friday night, of course, critical or whatever they may be. Walk us through a routine week for Pisgah football.
So
practice-wise.
Normally we bring them in Monday morning. If it's a big week, we bring them in and watch the film before school. We lift Monday afternoon. We'll squat on Monday. We'll do that. We'll go in and watch film for like the basic, what we're going over. We'll install the basic plan on Monday on both sides. We come in Tuesday. It's unique here. On Tuesday, we'll watch film. We have a time that we can watch film during school, the previous practice. But on Tuesdays, we shoot basketball for an hour during the season because I have a lot of guys that play multiple sports, and some of those guys may like basketball more than like football. So that was my give. If they would not play pickup after 4th of July, if they'll just go shoot and work on their game, they do that. So we have some guys that work on some special team stuff, or we may throw baseball or something for that hour, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know that's kind of crazy, but it's worked for us because we got to share athletes. So Tuesday comes in, we'll install the special teams, kind of walk through, go over stuff. We'll add into our maybe get to the second down stuff and start introducing pass stuff on the defensive side. We'll work something different offensively than we did the first day, talking about up front blocking wise. And then Wednesday comes, we'll go through all of our special teams. We'll hit our third down. We'll hit a red zone, our short yardage package, any unique thing that they may give us that we need to look at. And the whole time we're watching film for that specific thing. Thursday they shoot, we come out and kind of do our walkthrough. We'll go through some different skellies and different walks that we've got to do and kind of just polish it up. And every day's practice gets a little shorter. Monday's pretty physical. Tuesday and Wednesday we kind of start easing up. But that's kind of how. It's worked for us. This week's the first week. Our middle school's not been out there with us, but normally they're out there with us the first hour, and they do position indie stuff with us. We two-spot our inside drill, and we do perimeter. So you'll look out there. We're going inside. We're going perimeter. Then the young guys are going. So we got about 40 kids going simultaneously, for us, because we've got them out there 7 through 12. We got a 7 through 9 bunch, and then we have the rest of them. So there's not a lot of guys standing around, but it's pretty cool watching it on Mondays and Tuesdays when everybody's out there together.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I want to ask you a unique question. Oftentimes, God, over time, I learn a lot of things about yourself. Of course, wisdom is a big thing. What are a couple of the things that God has given you, say, talent-wise, or let's say, for instance, have made you the person you are, that you're able to share with others, that makes you a better person and makes them a better person? If you understand what I'm asking.
I think that, we're all affected by the experiences that we have in our life, the different events that we have in our life. Two that stand out to me when I can remember, my mom finding out my mom had cancer the very first time in 1995. I can remember where we were. I didn't really understand that, but I know kind of how it affected there. And then, that December, I was saved. It kind of gave me a different perspective on things. Growing up in a home that went to church and have that perspective kind of gave me a different outlook. But the next probably big event that happened in my life was when Dad left my senior year. I was a quiet kid, didn't really talk. And so I went to Fort Payne. I had a great time at Fort Payne, but I was, the first month I was miserable because I was shy. And I was like, if I sit here and do this, so I come out of my shell, and I haven't shut up since. But just the experience that we have through the events in your life, that's something that, seeing, I can remember my grandmother passed away in college and being upset. And not truly really understanding, she was better off, and if you have any faith whatsoever, and if you believe in eternal life, that you're going to see them again, we might be upset, but that's the whole purpose of our religion is for that, and to have that hope that we will see them again. That's a promise that we'll see them again, and that's something that, I lost both my granddads and my grandmother, but they were ready to go. And that kind of, I don't see how people make it without having faith. I don't see how they can make it through some of the things that the events that happen without that. You don't have the answers. You don't have the what to say in that moment. And, and that's something I think this is my 17th year of high school football. And I've been able to coach on all sides of the ball. So I have that kind of experience, but just being around kids in general, it's kind of crazy to think that I was a shy kid and didn't like standing up in front of people and talking. Now some of my teachers may disagree with that, but this is like, you get me up in front of a group of people, I get nervous. I have all those, but put me in a room full of kids. It doesn't matter what the age, I can fit in, and that's something I feel like that, that my personality, I think kids are able to approach me and talk to me. At least I think that's the case. And, and that's something, doesn't matter what sport it is. I think all sports help kids in life because you're going to fail, and it's how you respond, and the little things like that kind of make you who you are. And that's something that, I try to, I don't, put my faith down the throats of our kids. But if I have an opportunity that it's a teachable moment, then I'm going to share with them, and my assistant coaches are as well. And if it's a learning opportunity for our guys in life, then we're going to try to do that. But I think, going back to the question, if I don't get off track here, just, I think my personality and being approachable, and our kids know that they can trust me. And I think that that's something that I can pour into them, and hopefully give them some nuggets that they can use later on in life.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randy. You want to wrap it up?
That's there's no better answer than we've ever gotten on here than what we just got. So, Coach, that blessed my heart. I really appreciate your words. And the only question I have, Phil, and I'll let you wrap it up, is in that tone. And I know you work with your own kids. Is there ever a separation between I'm going to be coach now, I'm going to be dad, and then I'm going to be a leader there? How hard is that sometimes?
I was fortunate. Dad never carried it home, and I carry it home way too much, and I struggle with that. There is a time, my middle one, Hudson, he doesn't understand, and me and my oldest and John Cooper, we've got into it, and not in football, usually some basketball or baseball, but I struggle at that. Dad did a great job. He allowed me to approach him. He did not force it down my throat. And that's what I try to do. If they come to me, it's fun. Right now they're getting ready to play, and both of them, no, they grew up in it. They're consumed with it. Hopefully they'll do something besides be football coaches. But right now it's fun. That's something that we connect to. And they're like, "Hey, Dad, watch this. Hey, Dad, did you see what so and so did? They run. They're telling me what play they ran. That's pretty cool." But I try my best not to be that person. I try to have a relationship outside of football. Outside of sports in general. That's hard because we're a sport family and we play everything. But the perspective is I try to step back, and I do coach them pretty much in nearly every sport. Because my thing is I think the more dads that are involved, it pays off for those kids down the road. And that's something that, it doesn't matter what it is, I'll help, if we need some help. If I don't, I'll stay out of the way. And sometimes I like to be out of the way, and I don't say anything until they come to me. I'm sitting up there on my hands trying to be quiet, but, that's something that I struggle at, and I struggle as a husband bringing it home as well. That's one of my things, time management. It's crazy. Those little ones sometimes, they tell you the truth and don't know it, and that's something that I struggle with because I'm around the two older ones. I'm not around the two little ones because Laura usually has them. They're just getting now old enough to come be managers and ball boys. They want to, or ball girls. They want to, because that's where I am and they get to be around. So, sometimes it's hard to manage being a dad and being a coach. But if anything, they get the harder side of it. And I told them it's just how it is, because they've got to do what they're supposed to do because they're going to have a bullseye on their back because they're a coach's kid. It's just how it is. I don't know how to explain it, but I had to learn to do that as well as a player. So they might as well just get used to it. And that's not the greatest answer when you're talking to an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old, but that's the best I can give them. But that's something that I struggle with.
Yeah, there's a certain expectation level for them that they're under, and it makes them tough. I mean, they're going to eventually get thick skin and understand that. Of course, and I'm sure you look out there and see the relationship that Luke and Adam have. I'm sure Adam at times he won't tell you, but I'm sure he's had emotional moments. Watching his son play. Of course, he's got another son playing, but that means so much to a dad.
Yes, we've got Adam and with Luke and Jagger, and then Coach Dixie's Eric. He's kind of the sixth lineman now. He came in and started a couple of games and plays on the D line for us. Coach Kirby, Jacob graduated last year, and he's got Jackson's a middle schooler, and we coach them all. And then me and Coach Kirby coached our B team this year. He's got a younger one, Kemp, that's on that team. Coach Arnold coaches our D line, and he's over our Pee Wee program. His boy Wes is our center and defensive end. So sometimes, he's coaching Wes, and Wes sometimes gets caught up, and it's Dad, not Coach Arnold. But also, we're fortunate that our boys are on the A team together, so we get to coach them. He's the A team coach with them as well. And then Coach Bell, his boys have graduated, but he was able to coach them. And not one time did any of those guys ever say, "Hey, my boys should get to do this." They understood. It's what's best for the program, and they've never. I've never had to question, their motives because they want what's best for our program. And when you have those guys, sometimes dads can have those glasses, but I'm fortunate these guys, they don't have those. And I hope that when mine get up there, I don't have those goggles.
You want to wrap it up? Coach, thanks so much for joining us
Yep.
and sharing your stories. It's always great to talk with you. I know, congratulations again on that 50th win, and I know I've told you before, not only do I appreciate you for what you do on the field, I appreciate what you do for young people off the field, and that's what this is all about. I've always said I want to leave this world a better place than the way I found it, and if we can go by that, we can make people's lives better.
That's the thing about it. If these guys don't learn anything but X's and O's, then we failed them as a staff. And my granddad used to say, "Don't pray to be blessed, pray to be a blessing." And that's something that sometimes that you can forget. But we've got to help raise these next dads and fathers that are going to go out into the world. And that's something that, I think our staff does a really good job with.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach. We'll talk to you in about 7 weeks, okay?
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, Coach Luke Pruitt of Pisgah. That's always enjoyable, Phil.
Yeah. You got to swap over to your other show?
Yes, sir. I'm going to go Sequatchie County football, Giles County. That's where I'm going to jump right now. So
yeah, because of course, Tennessee starts this week playoff wise, where Alabama's got another
one. We got one more week up here too.
Oh, we got one more regular season week.
Yes. So Giles County.
I thought they started playoffs this week.
So Giles County's undefeated, has owned Sequatchie the last 4 years. Sequatchie's 9-1, ranked 4th in the state. Got Giles coming Friday night. So we got on the other line. We're going to do a preview with it.
Okay. Sounds like a winner.
All right. Thank you, bud. Y'all jump over to the next show.
Okay.